I'm Mike Balshaw. I'm a party member and I'm a partner in a leaflet distribution business. Tim, can I ask you, if you were successful in being elected as party president, what would your priorities be and what would you change?
Well, the first thing, I'm going to stick to some of the themes that we were just talking about before, is not pointless restructuring of the party. I think that the party presidency is one of those jobs that is what you make of it. Normally, it's been kind of like a mayor of the party, an internally focused role, somebody who looks after the management at party headquarters in Cowley Street in Westminster. I think things have changed. And that's why I'm standing. I wouldn't be a candidate for the presidency if I thought that was what the role is. I think the role now is about being on the front foot and selling the Liberal Democrats for what we're for. As I say, we get an awful lot out of the coalition. There's lots of things we are achieving. What we're not getting is the credit that we deserve and we desperately need, and you desperately need, if we're going to win any elections next May. So my job is very much externally focused. It's about lifting people's morale, inspiring people to want to belong to us, to carry on delivering leaflets, to carry on knocking on doors, and to feel that they made the right decision when they joined us in the first place and feel they made the right choice to vote for us last May, for instance. In terms of what I would change, internally, there are various departments in Cowley Street. I don't want to restructure one little bit, but I want to lift their spirits as well, and I want to help them to do things which make them feel that they're doing the right thing. So, for instance, our press office at the moment spends much of its time just being defensive, totally defensive, and it must grind them down. And I want to be their attack dog. I want us to be, on a Monday morning, looking at the things we want to achieve this week. What stories do we want in the media? Never mind reacting to whatever interpretation of George Osborne, whatever he might have said that week. I want us to go out and sell the things we've done, which is why the forcing our ministers to come up with half a dozen things they've achieved in the last few days is really important. We need to get them thinking outside of their offices and onto the streets. I mean, I'm a big fan, in South Lakeland of what we call campaign offsetting. Every hour you spend locked in a room with an officer, you should compensate and offset by an hour on doorsteps to remind yourself what normal people think. And I think the problem is cabinet ministers, junior ministers will have the same problem that we all have. You can go native very quickly and you can forget what it is that inspired people to put you there in the first place. And so my job is about connecting the National Party with the grassroots and vice versa, being big enough to say to Nick Clegg, not on camera, by the way. I'll do it in a personal, way. I get on with him well enough, but he knows that I will stand up to him as well. The things that we need to do differently, the things that we need to change. But above all else, it's about simple, sharp messages about what we are for, why we're different, why we are distinct from the coalition, why we have an identity of our own right, because at the moment that is massively challenged.
So you're going to be an interactive president?
I'm going to be somebody you see on your telly and hear on the radio and see in the press, and I'm hopefully going to say things that will make you feel proud to be a Liberal Democrat. And it'll be my job to get out there and sell the Liberal Democrats. The leader of the party can only do that so much now because he's running the country. And so the job of president now is to fill in those areas that Nick would have done when we weren't in charge. And we have to go out there and make it clear what we are about and be a critical friend to the coalition. But be absolutely and resolutely partisan.
You've got a fantastic reputation as a great constituency MP and as a great MP in Westminster. How can you put in the sheer amount of time that you say that you want to, and I believe that you will, put into the party presidency and still maintain such an effective role within the constituency and within your role as an MP in Westminster?
It's a good question. I mean, all the people who've been president beforehand, bar one, have been a parliamentarian whilst they did the job. And I'm not saying it's a prerequisite, it isn't actually. So it's obviously manageable, but for me, I wouldn't have put my name forward at all or accepted the nomination if I hadn't had three rather important discussions, most importantly with my wife, then also with my constituency officers and office, and then thirdly with the chief whip, to make sure basically there was enough room for somebody like me to be absent from Westminster during the week at times. Now, I mean, a quick trade-off answer is that I was the shadow DEFRA secretary in the last Parliament, and I was shadowing Hilary Benn's every move in Parliament, outside Parliament, commenting on issues, being at NFU conference, all those sorts of things. I reckon that on average took 20 to 25 hours a week, which you can have. And that's basically the trade-in. That's the offer. Obviously, I will continue to be a constituency MP. I'll continue to be in Parliament. But I think that helps because it helps to have somebody who the press recognise. Wrong though it is, the media circles Parliament. And the easiest way to get on television is to be able to be on College Green outside Westminster and go and talk to Laura Kuenssberg or whoever. And that's of critical importance, and building up those relationships is very important. And guess what I've learned in Westmorland is that if you're going to be in the face of your electorate, you have to have good and constant relationships with your journalists. Now, with me, it's been the Westmorland Gazette and Radio Cumbria and all the rest of it. And what we do is have the same relationship with the Guardian, the Telegraph, the BBC and Sky and so on. That is critically important. But yeah, I'm going to have a very well-managed diary, aren't I?